Hello there, and today on the Designated Pundits, we're making predictions for MLS Matchday 5. We have some of the best bets and sportsbook picks. It's a minefield out there in Week 5, Major League Soccer. A lot of players on international break. We think we have the best show here for you. Stay tuned. Bob McLean here with Dion, and as you can tell, we're having some technical issues already. Saw the old intro. We are the Designated Pundits. Thank you for joining us here on a Friday night live, 8 p.m. as we bring some of the best sportsbook picks we have. I'm going to be on this side clicking and doing all that. Dion, you got a riff for a minute for me. How you doing today, buddy?
Hey, I'm not too bad. Not too good after that loss for USA last night, but not too bad for a Friday. Glad it's the weekend and ready to watch some MLS.
I am ready for that absolutely too. So we have a wonderful slate here. We have a full, I think it's 14 games. Two teams have bye weeks, Inter Miami being one of them. That's the one you're going to know because that's the big fish missing from our slate this week. But let's get into some sportsbook picks. First, we're going to recap our week, and we saw a heck of a week last week. See a lot of yellow on there. Those are all the draw no bets that ended up as draws. And hey, that's the side you want to be on. If you're going to lose a bet, you might as well have it wiped clean. We had some good plus money plays overall. Going to see 3-2 myself. Dion was 0-1 with I think 2 or 3 bets negated overall. The show went 7-6 on 13 wagers with 6 refunded. Plus 1.38 units, slow and steady winning the race. That is, yes, 4 straight winning weeks for the show. When we take that up for the week totals, I'm sitting at 9.44 units in the plus. Dion at plus 4.98 units. The show overall, 38-33 on 71 wagers, plus 11.07 units. That is some profit. That's the way you got to start out a season, right, Dion?
Absolutely, man. You're on fire, man. That 9.44. Does your back hurt? Because you're carrying us all right now.
I mean, that's kind of what I was expecting to do just because I'm the former professional at this. But you guys are definitely holding your own. You had a couple of really great plus money plays. I think on the year, you're like almost at that 500 mark, but you hit a couple plus 240s and some other really great picks in there. Soccer Sharp saying cheers, lads. They are also from the Hooligans Soccer Network, and I'm sure they want to maybe hop on a couple of really good picks we have here. So let's get right into the show. This week, match day 5. This is the early one. This is a 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Allianz Field. Minnesota United hosting the LA Galaxy. Two teams that we both expected a lot from this season that kind of came out to different forms. Minnesota 2-1-1 and the LA Galaxy 0-1-3. When we take a look at the money here, we have Minnesota United minus 110 to win, LA Galaxy plus 270, and the draw sitting at plus 260. Not a lot of bettable over-unders this week. There's just a lot of juice to the over. Minus 136 to the over, plus 112 to the under. Let's talk about some picks. This is the one where I'm the only member here not betting on this match. Tell me what you saw here.
Yeah, on this one, both teams averaging under 2 goals a match. Like LA averaging only 1 goal on the road. Minnesota's only averaging 1 goal at home, and they're not really both like allowing a lot. So I went with the under on this one. I couldn't decide if I wanted to put anything about who's going to win or lose, because I think this one is one that could go either way. But I went with the under 2.5 goals for, I think you have plus 112. At the time I did it was plus 110.
Love it. That's probably the way I would try to play this. There's a lot of money in on Minnesota at minus 110. However, right now, I'm just not reading the Galaxy very clearly. You know, I always say the best bet you're going to make in a show is the one you don't play. LA Galaxy has so much talent. They are obviously hard up right now. but they still have Peck. They still have Ramirez. They have Fagundes, who was incredible at the beginning of last season for them when he needed to fill in. They have guys like Yamane and a pretty good defense too, with Zanka now. Kind of brings a little unexpected. And with Minnesota, we saw Oluwaseyi is out. They have Cisneros is out. Boxall is out. Oluwaseyi out. St. Clair is out, but that may actually be a positive because he hasn't looked as sharp recently, although Alex Smear behind him is kind of an unknown. For me, there's just enough unknowns that I'm staying away. And while Scott and Alex could not be here tonight, they are placing their official wagers on Minnesota at -110. Again, it's a home team, the Wonderwall, the big home field advantage, a lot of good stuff going there for Minnesota. But I want to get to the next match. This is one I will be sitting press live. The New York Red Bulls hosting Toronto FC. Red Bulls at 1-2-1, 2 draws. That's what they love to do. This game's going to be 7:30 at Sports Illustrated Stadium, formerly Red Bull Arena. Taking a look at the plays, it is almost unbettable on Red Bulls, -175. Toronto +500 in the draw at +290. As a gambling man, I might say that in Major League Soccer, whenever you see +500, there's value there because any given week, this isn't, the top of the EPL standings against the bottom. These teams can both put up and put up a good show. Red Bull, not too affected by the international break, and that's why I think them being home is going to be a good thing. They will be missing Gengar, who scored last match. They'll be without their goalkeeper, Carlos Coronel, but he has been a non-factor this season, not because he's not good, just because Red Bulls are not letting opponents in their box. They're not letting opponents shoot. So you have a lot of moving parts here, but what we know is Toronto is easy to pick on. My official play here is going to be Red Bull and an over of 1.5 goals at +105. Me and Scott both made that pick. I think he actually made it before I did. And to be clear, this is not a team total of over 1.5 goals. This is going to be over 1.5 total goals. So if Red Bull wins 2-0, 2-1, any of those plays are going to hit it. The -175 was completely unbettable. Here, you add a little total, and, you don't want to get too fancy because we want to include the 2-0 win. We don't want to have to be 3-0 or, God forbid, rely on Toronto to put anything in the back of the net. Dion, how do you feel about this match?
Yeah, I stayed away from this one because, at first when I was first looking at it, just didn't know how much the international duty would affect the Red Bulls. And kind of like you said, you never know with teams. And, this could be one of those weekends that Toronto are like, hey, we're going to show up and play the best ball that we can and somehow pull out a victory. But there was just nothing, the negative for the Red Bulls was just not enough for me to go Red Bulls. And that's kind of why I stayed away from it. I guess that I agree with your all's pick. This is a good one, but I stayed away from it. But I think Red Bulls will win at home. They should.
Now, we know DeAndre Kerr is going to be starting in this match. He had that high-flying goal against Chicago just last week. But the reason he's going to be in is because Bryn Hilton, their new DP, is going to be out on international duty. Davy Flores, international duty. Larea out. Osorio out. Spicer out. I heard Sandro Schwartz said today that he expected Insigne would play. I don't know if that's insider information that I haven't gotten or just a coach being prepared for anything the opponent might throw at them. I think this one's going to be pretty open shut. And again, I needed a dance partner. I took the over 1.5 goals.
And I'll believe it when I see it for Insigne.
You never know. Let's move on. Orlando's hosting DC United. Orlando 1-1-2 on the young season. DC United with a win and 3 draws. The oddly undefeated team in Major League Soccer. This one's also 7:30 at Inter and Co Stadium in Orlando. Taking a look at the picks here, you have Orlando City -140 to win, DC United +340 in the draw at +290. Over under 2.5 goals, -164 to the over, +134 to the under. You kind of need to take an alternate goal total if you want to make any money on these matches. I did not have an official play in this match. And then Scott threw down an over of 3.5. I said, it's a little rich for my blood, but I do think there's going to be goals. So let me talk you through this one, Dion, because this was one of the picks that I was, wanting to throw into my article for this week. Orlando has a win, a draw, 2 losses in 4 matches, but they played some pretty tough competition here. And while these teams have had different starts to their season, Both have seen goals. DC United has seen 11 total goals in 4 matches, and Orlando has seen 19 total goals. Both have seen a lot of matches with both teams scoring. In fact, of the 8 games they've played combined, 7 of them have seen both teams to score. The only one, a 0-0 draw between DC and Montreal, that's the only one that's seen not both teams to score, and that's the only one that's seen an under of 2.5 goals. It was 0. I think that game is kind of an aberration. Let's get some goals. My official play here is both teams to score and over 2.5 goals at minus 125. You're not getting the best odds, but as long as both teams put them in the back of the net and over 3 goals total, any 2-1 win wins, any 2-2 draw wins, I think there's a lot of ways to attack this match from the over standpoint. And again, you see just on our score sheet here, Scott's playing over 3.5 goals at plus 145. And I'm just going to take both teams to score over 2.5 at minus 125. Dion, can you at least get on our side that there's going to be some goals here scored?
Oh, yeah. I think that if I would go with any bets, I would go with yours. Scott's is a little 3.5 might be a little too much, but I agree with yours. I think that it will be over 2.5. In my prediction video over on my channel, I actually have DC United going on the road here and winning this match, and I predicted 2-1. So I like your not prediction, your pick here. But I still pretty new to the betting stuff, but I didn't like the negative 125, so I kind of stayed away from this one.
It is heavy. And again, Scott had a great return on his bet. That's why he's playing the over 3.5 goals. Let's move ahead now. This is one of the most interesting games to me, and I shot this one out on Blue Sky, the alternative soccer talking app that I have here. Philadelphia Union is hosting St. Louis City. Philadelphia 3-0-1, off to a very hot start, scoring in bunches. St. Louis City, the opposite, 2-2-0, 2 wins and 2 draws, and they are not allowing scoring. They are holed up on defense.
That defense
and
is
here,
good.
This is going to be a good one. Talk to us first before I give it away, because I've studied this a little bit. Again, my article on Hooligan Soccer has this game as like a featured match. Tell me what you think.
So I think, well, I was not expecting the Union to lose at home to Nashville last weekend. So that kind of throws me off. And I know that, there's a plus on both sides for a win for this one if you go either way. And like I said, I didn't put a bet on this one, but I think that I might have to after this. I think St. Louis can go on the road here and win because of international duty. Philadelphia are missing a good bit of their starters. I can't remember off the top of my head how many, but I guess you probably have that information.
Oh, I have that out, and I'll read it to you right now. St. Louis City have just 2 injuries and no international call-ups. Philly's going to be missing 6 total starters. Yeah. And it's not just the number of players, it's their goal scorers. Ty Baribo and Gazdag are going to be with Israel and Hungary, respectively. They've combined for 7 of the team's 11 goals. That accounts for 64% of Philadelphia's offensive production this season. And remember, this St. Louis City team, they've allowed 0 goals in 2025, not a single one in the back of the net. So while Philadelphia's been scoring high, pressing hard, putting them in the back of the net, I just don't trust him here against St. Louis, who will be absolutely, Olaf Melberg will be fine going in with a 0-0 draw. Like, he will leave a happy man if that is the scenario. There's not a lot of coaches in Major League Soccer I definitely necessarily think about that. They're going to come out and play defensive. So I wanted to take the St. Louis City winner draw option. And it wasn't great odds. Here you have Philadelphia Union at plus 130, St. Louis City at plus 190, just a little rich for my blood. But when you compare that 190 to the draw at plus 240, put that together for a double chance, you're getting minus 170, somewhere that it's not good enough. So I'd have to find an alternate goal total. I'm taking St. Louis City and under 3.5 goals at plus 135. And that's kind of the way that I paired it. I think that in general, in Major League Soccer, if a home team is winning, you're hitting overs. If an away team's winning, it's more defensive, maybe a little cagey, you're going to hit unders. I didn't want 2.5 because 2.5 is just a 2-2. There's so many ways that that's not going to hit. But under 3.5, okay, St. Louis can win 2-0, 1-0. They can draw 1-1. They can draw 0-0. And then I get plus 135. I think there's just so many ways that this bet can come that I didn't have to really squeak it. I'm not playing an over-under of 2.5 alternate goal total on 3.5 is how I am going to play this one. One official play here, and it's really because Philadelphia is going to be missing Gazdag and Ty Baribo. St. Louis City, comparatively, nearly full strength.
Yeah, yeah. I think that St. Louis. I think St. Louis comes out either with a victory or a point in this one. Like I don't think unless something crazy happens. I know that Philadelphia is at home, but I think that it will be St. Louis in this match.
The tie has me a little on edge, like the 2-2 tie. I think 2-2 is a possibility. That's really what I'm betting against here. And, you got Andre Blake is going to be missing this game too. Jesus, the new center back, center defensive midfielder that they have. They're going to have a lot of subs in this match. Doesn't mean they're a bad team, but I do think it's a bad time to play St. Louis City, and they're going for that record. They want a 5th straight shutout.
Yeah.
Moving ahead now, this is a pick that I was talked into by Alex. And it's Nashville hosting Montreal. Nashville 2-1-1. Saw them take a draw at Red Bull Arena. That was a fantastic match. You had Montreal 0-1-3. This game is a little later, 8:30 at Geodis Park in Nashville. Nashville, as you would expect, minus 195. Huge home favorite. While CF Montreal is plus 500 in the draw at plus 300. Over under 2.5 goals. Doesn't matter at all to me, but it's minus 128 to the over and plus 106 to the under. My pick here is kind of relying on a few things, and it's just that Nashville's better. And what can I pair it with? Because I don't want to bet at minus 195. So I took Nashville in over 1.5 goals. I just think Montreal's bad. They are down and out. There's nothing going on in Montreal. I will be picking against them until they show me otherwise. And I don't think Nashville is that bad. They did put up 2 on Red Bull, and I did not expect that, which was a pleasant surprise for their long-term, put out. Montreal, on the other hand, they've conceded 6 goals in 4 matches, so they're right at that 2 number. Can Nashville win and score 2? That's what we're asking.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that they could. I didn't make an official play on this one because Nashville, I know that they're on a 2-match winning streak right now, but I feel like they are from last season to this season still inconsistent for me. So like I could see it being like them thinking, oh, we got 2 wins in a row. Montreal is going to be a breeze. And then I could see Montreal coming in and upsetting them to get their first win of the season. I don't think that's going to happen, but yeah, I think that there was just not enough for me in this match to make it an official play, but I do think that Nashville should get the job done there at Geodis Park.
A couple of notable absences, kind of starts and ends with Andy Nahar for Nashville. For Montreal, you have Vrioni still out, and you have Waterman out. So, again, 2 teams that are relatively untouched by the break, and I just think Nashville has got to keep rolling if you want to be mediocre, and this is like a mid matchup. Like there is nothing. These teams are not competing for trophies this season, but if you want to be mediocre in this league, you got to be Montreal at home, and I think that that's going to be a likely case here.
And I don't think that we're going to see anything. I know that you're moving on, but I don't think we're really going to see anything from Montreal until they do get a couple home games, and that's 8 matches into the season. So you also got to think of that, like the travel that they're doing heavy here at the beginning of the season. Like that's going to take a toll also.
Absolutely. Let's head now to Sporting Kansas City. They're hosting LAFC this weekend. Sporting KC 0-1-3 with a draw. They finally drew last week a 3-3 draw against Minnesota United. LAFC 2-0-2 on a 2-game losing streak now. This game's going to be at Children's Mercy Park. This is going to be an interesting one. 3 of us, only Scott is not on a bet in this matchup. Let's take a look at the odds. Sporting KC plus 155, LAFC plus 155. This is like a natural pick'em. Which one do you have, Dion?
I went straight up with the 155 for LAFC. I think that Sporting Kansas City, I think last weekend with Minnesota, they went up 3-0. and decided all the game's over. Like they called game, and then here comes Sporting Kansas City. I don't think LAFC are a team that would let that kind of thing happen. So I had to go with LAFC, right out the gate. 155, they win straight up.
I completely agree. Minnesota United took their foot off the gas. They gave up 3 goals in a 12-minute span. That doesn't happen. Sporting KC was 12 minutes away from starting 0-4 in Major League Soccer and 0-6 on the season. They are bad. They're not a good club. And while AFC's lost 2 matches, they lost to Austin and Seattle, right? They lost 1-0 in Austin. Texas teams usually have a solid home advantage. In Seattle, there's no shame in losing to Seattle this year. They're a good club. In that match, our LAFC outplayed Austin, 14 shots, 71% possession. And in their loss to Seattle, they conceded 5 goals on only 1.69 expected goals, with 4 total goals in garbage time at the end of the match. So while that looks like a blowout, it wasn't actually a blowout if you watched the match in person. I'm also taking LAFC at plus 155. They're miles better than Sporting KC. They're without Denny Bouanga, but that just means David Martinez gets to play. He's going to be paired with Under. I think that they still have some very, very strong wing play here. I don't let a blip in LAFC's season deter me from what should be an easy slam dunk, taking them over Sporting KC. Typical good team versus bad team handicap. Do you agree on that?
Yeah, pretty much. I can't believe I can't believe how bad Sporting Kansas City are.
I can.
Yeah, I mean, I just like they've been so bad for so many years, and to me, they have, and it'd be nice if I'm a fan of the whole league, so I would like teams to have good seasons, and I just can't believe that they're still doing this bad.
I think they did have that one like aberration season where like Shallowy and Russell both scored like 15 goals each. But yeah, it's been rough. It's a hard time, and it looks like their rebuild. They're planning like a 3-window rebuild. When we talked at the beginning of the season with Jimmy Mack from No Other Pod, I can't believe that. We do not have the patience for that in New York.
No, I know you all don't.
Dion, you're seeing something here, and I was half in on you with this pick. Vancouver Whitecaps 4-0. Chicago 2 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. This game is 10 p.m. I think that's the reason I wanted to bet on it the most, because like I don't want my betting to be over at 8:30. So we have a very interesting set here. Vancouver Whitecaps heavy favorite minus 125. Chicago Fire plus 320, and the draw is at plus 250. I was looking at the team totals. Vancouver over under 1.5 plus minus 130 to the over, plus 102 to the under, and Chicago plus 200 if they score 2 goals, minus 265 if they don't. What are you seeing here that the rest of us are not? This was a stay away for me.
Yeah, so for this match, I went Vancouver and the game over 1.5 goals. And that's at plus 135. And I did that because Vancouver are averaging right now at home 2 goals flat. Chicago on the road are averaging 2.33 goals on the road. Yes, Vancouver is only allowing 0.5 goals at home. Chicago on the road, they're allowing 2 goals. They're on average in these first 4 they're not first 4, they're first 3 matches away. So I feel like Vancouver can score a lot, and I think that we're also going to see Chicago score. So I really think that we're going to get over 1.5 goals in this match, just because of what they're allowing on both sides. So I could see this one being a 3-1 Vancouver over Chicago, or even like a 3-2, even though Vancouver's they're not allowing a lot of goals, but I can see it happening, because Chicago are averaging that 2.33 on the road.
There's a notable list of absences in this match, and that's really what kind of threw me off here. Sam Adekugbe, Ali Ahmed, Andre Kubas, who's a huge player for the Whitecaps. And then there's 2 goal scorers, Ryan Gold, Pedro Vite, Brian White, 3 goal scorers, all missing in this one. Chicago Fire aren't much better. They have a whole list of players questionable, with Brian Gutierrez out, and that's not a player I like to be missing matches. In what we call the Burr-Halter Derby, right? This is, you got Sebastian Berhalter on Vancouver Whitecaps, and you have Coach Berhalter over on the Chicago Fire. That always adds an interesting element here. Because of the players missing, I can't give this one an endorsement. One official play, Vancouver, and a small alternate over 1.5 goals, plus 135. I still think you're getting good money. Vancouver is a far travel on the west coast of Canada for Chicago. I like that. It's just not something I can get behind because there are so many questions, but I do like the way you're heading. My lean would still be Vancouver. Let's finish up and bring it home. Last match of this match day. Austin hosting San Diego FC. Austin, 2 wins, 0 draws, 2 losses. San Diego also in the undefeated club, 2 wins, 2 draws, no losses. This is going to happen 4 o'clock on Sunday at Q2 Stadium, and I believe this is the only Sunday match for this match day. For me, this is all going around the fact that San Diego has allowed 2 goals in 4 matches. They are just as sound as St. Louis on the defensive side. In honesty, they kind of remind me a little bit of St. Louis, the way they've been playing out there. And they've been getting results on the road. 3-1 win against RSL. That is an incredibly tough place at altitude to play. 2-0 in the beginning of the season against LA Galaxy, starting LA Galaxy out on their skid. Ironically, their 2 draws have been at home, which isn't really something I like to see from a team that I don't know much about. It kind of just lends to the fact that they're a little more unpredictable right now. Austin FC minus 110 at home. San Diego FC plus 250 on the road, and the draw is at plus 270. Got a question coming in, and since it's topical and we're about to get into this, hi, do we have any information about Irving Lozano? No, I do not. Actually, MLS puts out their injury report about 7 o'clock on Friday, so I will check and see if there's anything new about him. I do not know, and I do understand that for some people, that's a reason to be off of this bet completely. However, I just see San Diego as being a really good play in this. I'm taking them on the double chance, so San Diego or draw, and under 3.5 goals. And I think that this is kind of a slam dunk because San Diego hasn't seen any matches. The 1 win, 3-1 on RSL was over 3.5 goals. That was the only one. And Austin, pulling that up now, they have only seen 1-0 games. They've won 2 games 1-0. They've lost 2 games 1-0. I don't think there's a whole lot of goals between these teams. And again, I think Mikey Veras might also be one of those coaches who would leave 0-0 with a smile on his face. Would take the point, put it in your pocket, and go home. The graphic here is going to have a slight typo. It's going to say San Diego and under 3.5 goals. It's actually San Diego double chance, win or draw, under 3.5 goals at plus 105. You found a different way that I also 100% approve on this match.
Yeah, I went a little bit different between you and Scott there. I don't know what we're going to see. Like you said, I like San Diego. I was completely wrong with my predictions at the beginning of the year of how I thought that they were going to be like the worst team in the West. Definitely proven me wrong, and I'm here for it though. I like that. But yeah, I like San Diego in this one. Draw no bet there. And kind of like you said, walking away with a point would be sufficient for him. But yeah, I had to go with the draw no bet in favor of San Diego because Austin has just been too inconsistent, and they're not living up to my expectation. With the signings that they brought in over the winter break.
Brandon Vasquez, put him on a milk bottle.
Yeah. I was expecting they would be they would be the team that's averaging, 1.5 to 2 goals a match. And here they're winning games 1-0 or losing them 1-0. So definitely going with the San Diego here at the draw no bet at 155.
Austin's going to be without Vasainen and Mirto Uzuni, their new winger. They're going to be without Svatok, Dessler, and Cascante, 3 important defenders. San Diego, they're going to be without Anibal Godoy. We saw him play last night. Patty McNair, that's probably a pretty big one. And Irving Lozano, who is officially unofficially listed as out, at least on RotoWire. We will check the player availability report, but I don't think we're going to see too much there. Why don't you talk about your favorite bet here as we pull up the final sheet here?
Yeah, I think my favorite bet for this one is probably the LAFC one. I think that LAFC miles better than Sporting Kansas City, and I think that should be an easy win for them and an easy plus 155 for the for LAFC. So I would have to say out of those, I think that one's the one that's really going to happen out of my picks.
Absolutely, I kind of agree. There's a whole lot here. I like the double chances with the under of 3.5 on two defensive away teams. If you're playing home, you can take the over. If you're playing away, generally, unless it's a really high-powered offense, you're going to be taking the under. So I like the way that those are laying out. RotoWire has Irving Lozano listed as out with a lower body. He is on the MLS official injury report as out with a lower body. So hope that clears up what we're doing with Lozano here. Again, he hasn't been available very much this season, so I don't take him as a huge contributor yet. I think he's going to be a bonus to the team when he does come back rather than a liability to the team when he's not on the field.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I was going to say, every report that I've seen, they're expecting him back late April, is the different reports that I've seen too. So
hammies are rough like that. You never know. And unfortunately, it's just, we're going to have to ride that down with you guys. Thank you so much for joining us on the Designated Pundits. Make sure you subscribe every Thursday. We go live with these picks. I know we have a few people in the chat here. Thank you for stopping by on not our regular day, but we had to avoid that U.S. men's national team match last night, which honestly, we could have just shot during the match and we wouldn't have missed too much.
You're right.
All right, let's get out of here, guys. Thank you for joining us on the Designated Pundits.